All right, welcome everyone to meetup number 158 for April. Welcome to everyone that's new. Awesome to see so many faces here tonight. We will start off with an acknowledgement of country. That the Melbourne AWS user group acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today, the Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung and Bunurong peoples of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and we recognise their ongoing connection to the land. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today or who are watching online. We run these events to a code of conduct. The short version is up there. The link on the website links to the long version, but in general, it's be nice to each other. This is and should be a warm and welcoming environment, safe for everyone. If you feel that that is not the case, you can talk to myself or any of the organisers, Rob or Matt at the back. And also the link has an anonymous feedback. So yeah, if you don't want to do that in directly, you can go via the link. We are on a lot of the socials. Our website is at the top, which has links to a lot of these. We are on LinkedIn and we are on YouTube. So for anyone here, if you're not able to make it, you can always go to our YouTube page there where we stream these live, and they also have all the previous ones. If you are watching this on YouTube, you already know the link. And yes, we used to be on Mastodon, but that went away. We are definitely not on. All right. The structure of the evening, we have the introductions, what I am doing now. We'll follow that up with a What's New section where we talk about some of the new features that have come out in the last month. And then we have two talks. We have Trent, who will be giving us a preview of his talk at AWS Summit. Hands up here, who's planning on going to Summit? Yeah, cool. Who's giving a talk at Summit? So there are a few of us here. So yes, that's great. And then after Trent, Yongkang will be giving a talk about building and scaling stable diffusion with EKS. And then we finish off with a marketplace. So the way we do that is we do a who's hiring. So we'll ask if you're hiring, and then people can come up and talk to you. We generally don't do a who's looking for work, because if your current boss happens to be watching the live stream, there may be some interesting discussions tomorrow morning. And then we try and close it all out at about 8 o'clock. So if you have any questions and you are watching this on the stream or for future meetups, you can go into our Slack channel in the hashtag Melbourne and post in there or in the chat in YouTube, and we will come and pass those on to speakers. Otherwise, as we said, you can hold your questions until later. We can pass the mic around so people watching on YouTube can hear those questions. Can't put these events on without our sponsors. We'd like to say a special thank you to our gold sponsor, Mantel Group, our silver sponsor, Cevo, and our venue sponsor, NAB. Without a venue, it's really difficult to put these on. As I said, we have the Slack channel, and you can get to there from the link that's on the screen there. There are quite a lot of channels, varying degrees of chatter within there. You'll see that there is a hashtag jobs, so potentially that's where you may ask for, if you're looking for work, definitely use that if you've got jobs to post up. There's an outages, if there are any, and announcements, which is where a lot of the items that you'll see in our What's New come up from. If you want to get involved, there are a few different ways. One of the big ones is if you want to speak. Without speakers, these nights get a bit boring. You'll just hear me talking up here or Matt going through his What's New. So if you've got something, we would love for you to reach out to us. If you haven't spoken before and you're keen to give it a try, we can certainly help you there. You know, you can reach out to us again, and we will help walk you through what to do. We can review your talks. Yeah. So there are a lot of people that got their first time talking from coming up here, and yeah, Brad's over there. He's now really good with his speaking, comfortable. Started here, so yeah, Azra as well. So yeah, feel free. It's a good safe place to do your first talk. If you are keen to sponsor, see the man with the beard at the back. He will happily take any money that's thrown his way, and you'll get up on the screen. And if you would like to help us out, there are various ways that you can do that. But yeah, there is a volunteer channel on the Slack, so you can let us know and help out. We're not the only game in town. There's a little thing coming up in a couple of weeks, as we said, AWS Summit in Sydney. So this is Darling Harbour. Summit itself is free. You just need to get there. And this year, the keynote speaker is Dr. Werner Vogels. So if you haven't heard him, he is amazing. He's the CTO of Amazon. Great speaker. So I would highly recommend, even if you can't get there, watch the stream or the YouTube when it comes out. Not to be outdone, later this year, Community Day Australia will be happening in Brisbane. Last year was an awesome event. This is put on by pretty much all of the user group leaders around Australia, are part of the committee, put on by the community, for the community. And it's on a Friday. So, you know, if you have a partner, go up, have a weekend in Brizzy, come back. I did that last year. It worked out really well. And I enjoyed it so much. I'm on the committee this year. So it is a great day. They're also looking for sponsors. So on the smaller side of things, there are a whole lot of other really great user groups, and Programming and Tools Meetup is one of those. On the 6th of May, jump on Meetup and have a look for them. Programming Tools is awesome. It's sort of hands-on, so bring your laptop and yeah, get playing. Melbourne Well Architected User Group, that's held at the AWS offices. And Serverless Meetup. So level 1, 555 Collins, that's awesome. Level 1 is the Builder Studio. So if you haven't been, that is a very cool place. I would highly recommend signing up and checking that one out. All right, and the next one up is What's New, and you don't need to listen to me anymore. I will pass you over to Hazra.
Hello. Hi guys. Oh, this is my first time trying this mic, so I'm very excited. Oh, so welcome, and I'll be presenting on what's new in AWS as part of this event. Before I start, I just want to say thanks to Matt, who's sitting there, the guy with the beard. He's the one who has put this together for us, and I'm here, and I'm very proud to be presenting this to you guys. Cool. And so let's start. Awesome. So finally, with Melbourne, we have the AWS MSK serverless being available now. the AWS Lambda function, durable functions, Amazon Redshift is now serverless as well, and we have the AWS backup extends Amazon FSX support and the mouthful, and cross-account copy as well. And then we have the S3 vectors available together with the Amazon FSX for open zone, so ZFS as well. So there's a lot happening in Melbourne. So moving over to Sydney, they finally have the AWS Transform Custom, the second generation AWS Outpost Rex as well, and the second generation Amazon FSX for the Net App on Tap, which sounds very interesting, and I'm pretty sure it's a good way of enhancing AWS. Right, moving over to machine learning. So we have the Claude Opus 4.7 now available in Amazon Bedrock. It's good. Amazon Bedrock Agent Core also has now added new features to help developers build agents faster, similar to what making it easy for all of us here. Also, the SageMaker, the studio now supports multiple code spaces within projects for IAM domains, something I'm really interested in, especially to do with IAM, and also as a business analyst, I think SageMaker is a great tool to work on. And also the studio now offers the CI and the integration and the development for data and AI applications, which is even more nicer to have that. And there's a lot of updates for SageMaker. It now supports the notebook and data agents for IDC, domains, and Amazon Bedrock Agent Core Gateway, and identifies support and VPC egress as well. So a lot of updates for SageMaker. Another one is that it's Hyperpod supporting the G7E and R5D.16 large instances, which is good to see that it's expanding there as well. And Bedrock Agent Core browser adds the operating system level interaction capabilities as well. So nice to see how we're now having the SageMaker becoming more efficient, and I think it might have been introduced last year. Oh, and it has been enhancing. Yeah, and a lot of enhancement, which is nice to be using that as well. Cool. And then we have serverless. So serverless is involving more on the location service with the bulk address validation for US, Canada, Australia, and UK, which is nice to see. You can do a validation on the addresses. Lambda functions now can mount the S3 buckets and file system with S3 files as well. It's good improvement. And also S3 now supports the 5 additional check some algorithms to see how it all functions together. Yep. If you can see on top, it says serverless is serverless in the same way as beef burger is vegetarian, which we obviously know it's not. Cool. Right. Moving on to security. This is one of my favorite side of things, to see updates in security, because I'm a community builder in security as well as my domain. So seeing the CloudFront supporting the SHA 256 for signaled URLs and signed cookies. So it's nice to keep track of that. And S3 starting to roll out new security best practices to new and existing buckets by default, which is a good way of governance and making sure that it's all secure when you use your S3. Yep. Moving on, we have the dev and ops. So AWS Transform is now available in Kiro and VS Code. So I'm pretty sure most of you by now know what Kiro is. used it as well. So CloudWatch pipelines now support the configuration of processes via AI, and also supports cost allocation by IAM user and roles. This is something I'll be interested in using to see how it supports the IAM user, to see how it actually progresses. And billing code and cost management dashboards now supports scheduled email delivery, which is good. It's easier to keep track of all your costs and see where you're spending your resources as well. And let's move over to the last bit, which is the fun part. So other stuff, AWS managed Microsoft. AD is now available on Windows Functional Level 2016. And Amazon EVS now offers Microsoft Windows Server licensing, as well as the IBS low latency streaming, supporting the server-side ad insertion. And the attributed revenue dashboard is also available in AWS Partner Central. If you have used this as well, this is a good tool. And the AWS Deadline Cloud also supports the customer scripting for job submission workflows, which is really interesting to see how you can now support the job submission workflows as well. So it's good to see that AWS has progressed really well in terms of security and serverless and DevOps. So those are the key main things that you can see here. And yeah, I won't be taking a lot of your time, so I think that's it for what's new for now. And we'll see. We'll pass it over to the speaker, our first speaker. So thank you, guys.
All right, cool. Thanks for making the time. So this is an alpha version of a talk I'm going to give at AWS Summit. I haven't done this talk before, so love any feedback or any place in the talk where you don't feel like it made sense. So just keen for feedback whatsoever. Just before I get started, there was another thing you noticed that Jason, a few of us here. I'm not one of the organisers, but we've got this. Community builder swag. So community builders is a part of a program that I'm on. Jason's on, a few of us are here on. So this is just open to anyone in the community. If you have created some blogs about AWS or submitted some code on GitHub for what you've done in AWS or given a talk here, at the end of the year, there's an intake for the subsequent year. So create a submission, get on the program, you get access to a Slack group and a community of about 6,000 people. The thing that I love about that community is that they have a call for speakers for Summit, and I submitted a talk, which is this talk, and then so AWS are now funding me to go to Sydney to talk. So my recommendation, yeah, if you've got some stuff around AWS you want to share, create a blog, talk here. They're always looking for speakers here, and then use that as a vehicle for the intake for the next community builder intake in December this year. Highly recommended. Okay, so onto this talk. So I'm Trent Hornibrook. I'm the head of engineering at Bell Financial Group. So Bell Financial Group is an Australian financial services business, and we have a significant on-premise footprint to power our trade and settlement systems and also our customer CRM. We're currently modernizing onto AWS, and we've got a deliberate, measured approach on how we're building into AWS. So we're building for the future, one decision at a time, not a big bang migration. Okay, so today I want to talk about how we decide. I want to talk about our architecture decision process, and then use that process and explain some of our choices with our AWS landing zone setup, to our decisions around our compute and storage, and then lastly, I want to touch on our identity solutions for our new digital experiences. Let's go. So back in 2010, I'm quite old. Back in 2010, I was at REA Group, and we started using AWS for disaster recovery. So AWS had barely launched. There was no playbooks, no well-architected frameworks. Nobody really knew what good looked like. We had a feeling that AWS made sense, but we made foundational decisions without realizing they were foundational. So for instance, there was no account structure thinking, no security boundaries. We were just solving for that immediate problem. And then when things got painful later, nobody could remember why we had set it up that way. Nothing was written down. And that really stuck with me. So as I moved through my journey, through Catch and Sportsbet and Seek and Latitude, I kept seeing the same pattern. Smart teams, reasonable decisions, but no record about why. And it always caught up with them. So at each of the places that I've subsequently joined, we started leaning into decision docs, lightweight records of what we considered and what we chose and why. And then every time it made us sharper. It forced us to slow down and consider the one-way doors and align as a team in writing, not just in conversation. So this is our process at Bell Financial Group. Every decision has an owner. They write it up, the options, the trade-offs, on a shared Confluence doc. We then circulate it async. People read it, poke at it, push back. We don't have the meeting just yet. We just want the thinking, not the reacting. So by the time that the document's gone through some back and forth, people usually converge on one of the options, and then we have a short meeting to close it out. Most of all of the hard work is already done. It had already been done async by the async process on Confluence. When there's a real contention, we've got clear ownership. So all of the engineering decisions made by me, I own those decisions, and any key architecture decisions are owned by my peer, the head of architecture. And then when we can't agree, we just escalate it to our boss, the CTO, and then we just move on. So we think through it, we write it down, we get challenged, we agree deliberately, and that's it. So this is a real ADR meeting. It was about 2 months ago. One of our architects is leading. The decision was about how we want to pull in market data for equity. So like, what is the yield for this equity? What is the profit to earnings ratio? So there's a few options for us. It was, do we just use the existing system that was a bit cumbersome with a lot of different data sources, or we decide to pull in a new data source, re-platform, and then be more strategically aligned with where we want to go in the future. So the meeting wasn't about catching up people. It was just about landing that decision. This decision had been written down, circulated, as I mentioned. But ultimately, this is an AWS conference, or this is an AWS meetup. So I want to share some of our real examples of how we use this framework on some of our AWS key decisions. So one of our first decisions was our landing zone. How do you structure AWS, your AWS account? It's a classic one-way door. You get it wrong early, you're living with the pain, like the years I learned at REA. So we started with some key principles: separate the core infrastructure accounts from workload accounts. We need to meet our security and governance requirements because we're in financial services. But the one-way door is really about finding that unit of accounts. You know, do we want to have an account per team, per product, per environment? So that decision really shapes everything up. So it feels simple on the surface, but it has massive downstream. So over my time in consulting land, I've seen four main options. Firstly, like a shared account, so a shared production account. And the other extreme is maybe an account per microservice. Sometimes I see an account per line of business, or others I see an account per security boundary, like an account for the website, an account for data, an account. So as a part of our ADR process, we looked at these options and documented the pros and cons and overlaid what it meant for us. So a shared account, as an example, makes management really simple. It maximizes the leverage if you're using Kubernetes, but there's some trade-offs. So for instance, if there's an incident, the blast radius is massive, and it also probably affects your own operating model. So then there's the line of business option. So that makes chargeback really, really easy, but when organizations reorganize, then you're kind of screwed, and this usually happens whenever there's an executive change. So your organization, that becomes an absolute mess. Aligning by a security boundary like a website or data does make sense, but there's some complexity in access management if your technical structure is not mapped how your customers use your products and services. And then there's the account per microservice that provides the maximum autonomy per team, but you're probably spending a lot more money in the run of the security and governance tools within AWS config, and you probably also need a platform team to manage east-west network connectivity. All right, so we decided on something. So the next question for us was, all right, how many environments do we need? So we need a production, clearly, but everything else really depends on how you ship software or how we ship software. So there's a couple of options that we could go with. We could go with like 3 or 4 environments, like a dev, UAT stage, or prod, the well-trodden path. It works well. This works well when you've got a formal test phase or you've got QA teams and release gates. Maybe the other extreme is you have like a non-prod and prod. So this really suits when your teams are really shipping fast with high confidence of automation. Our environmental strategy will really reflect your organization, how your organization works, how you ship software, how mature your testing practices are. So you've got to really pick one that aligns to how you're working today and maybe where you want to get to tomorrow. Okay, so we've picked the number of environments we want. We picked our account structure. The next question for us in our ADR was, all right, how are we going to build this? Account management, vending accounts is probably not something you do every day, but we are in a regulated industry, so we have to have strong governance and controls on who makes that change with an audit trail. So I've seen 5 ways in my life in consulting about how this gets solved. The first is maybe hand-rolled. Someone gets into the console and creates accounts. Maybe that doesn't really work. There's AWS Control Tower that's been around for like 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years, but there's a big bias for using ClickOps in the Control Tower workflow. I've seen vendor solutions like from a Versant or a similar that provides a landing zone solution for a customer. That can work. I've seen Terraform. Terraform is also a common solve for this. But then the question I've got is, all right, there's 1 or 2 people that know Terraform from soup to nuts, but what happens if they leave? What does the progression look like? And then lastly, there's the AWS Landing Zone Accelerator. It's built on Control Tower, a lot of rough edges. It's like a lot of square pegs and a lot of round holes. So this is our ADR. There was a lot of back and forth. We decided on a structure to structure our accounts by a security boundary. So a website set of accounts and data set of accounts. And we decided that our testing and release processes were ingrained and we didn't want to change them too much. So we adopted 4 environments. dev, UAT, stage, and prod. And when we thought, well, maybe on balance, Landing Zone Accelerator was the right choice for us. Okay, so then the next thing that we needed to decide was, all right, well, what are we going to do about compute? We're a .NET shop. We've got a lot of C#. What are we going to run in AWS? We also probably want to create some new digital experiences, so we might be thinking about using TypeScript and React Native. So we looked at some of the options, and really these are the four main players of what you pick, like ECS, EKS, Lambda, EC2. What really mattered for us was the minimizing of the operational overhead, local development parity. We just wanted to get on with it. We don't have a large platform team, so it really influenced our decision process. So really these are those options side by side. EC2 is good, but it's operationally heavy. You have to then manage the security upkeep of the running instance. ECS can be quite lightweight and quick using Fargate under ECS. EKS is good if you've got like a massive kube ecosystem and you can leverage all of the kube ecosystem. But then there's a lot of guff that needs to surround Kubernetes for it to run well. And then there's Lambda, no servers, but there's a lot of trade-offs around, do you need to have some longer-term persistent compute versus serverless. So for us, we decided on ECS Fargate for our runtime containerization, and then probably using, we're using TypeScript within Lambda for backend for front-end layer. Okay, so we decided on compute. The next thing that we needed to decide on was what do we want to do about data? We've got a large on-prem SQL Server footprint. What do we want to do in AWS for data? So that was one of the key things that we decided earlier on, is that we just didn't want to drag across SQL Server. We didn't want to bear the licensing costs. So we needed to decide on what was the optimal solution for us for data tech in AWS. Where we landed was we think DynamoDB, we want to lean into NoSQL. We don't really want to have relationships if we don't need in our data. So we thought DynamoDB made sense for us. And then in the extreme, if we need to have some type of relational data model, let's use Aurora Postgres. And then, of course, we need S3 for object store. But we didn't want to have too many options. We wanted to really constrain on the types of tech we wanted. And then if we needed to decide on more things, let's pull up another ADR and then look at the pros and cons and then decide on what else we might need. Okay, so the last thing for us is I want to touch on our customer identity solution for our new digital experiences. So we're re-platforming our digital experiences onto AWS, giving them a new coat of paint. We're going to have a backend for front-end layer in Lambda. We've got some new domain APIs in ECS, ECS Fargate, and we've got some DynamoDB. But we need to authenticate into our application. And we wanted to pick something that adopted OAuth standards for authentication and then implement MFA, because we didn't have MFA within our digital experiences, which is quite bizarre. Financial services. So to touch on it quickly, and identity is a massive talk in of itself. We looked at a couple of options. We didn't want to roll our own like using Pcloak. We thought, let's just look at a SaaS-based offering or a vendor solution. So the usual players in this space are Amazon Cognito, there's Auth0 and Okta. The main thing for us was more around costs. The licensing costs for Auth0 and Okta, whilst you get a really good developer experience, just the cost profile of using those two were just not palatable for our use case. We just wanted MFA, we wanted OAuth, and we didn't really need to do too much more than that. So we decided on Amazon Cognito as our identity solution. So I want to close and give some takeaways of this. So share some specific architecture decisions of what we made at Bell Financial Group when adopting AWS. So like our landing zone, our environment strategy, our compute, our data store tech, and also our identity system. But I want to stress that these are decisions that we made that were right for us, and it might not be right for others. But what was critical, and what I really want to emphasize here, is how you make decisions. For us, having an architecture decision process where we write things down, we circulate async, get some feedback, challenge each other, and then agree on a solution, and then have that documented is absolutely critical for us in, as it enables us to be better, to review what we decided and move forward. And that is my talk. So thank you. Thanks. Much more comfortable talking about anything else.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Trent? Feel free. Yep. I'll bring the mic around. Oh, Rob's got one.
How do you decide what level of granularity, or like what sort of decisions would go to the like the forum? So like what is the granularity that would essentially you take a decision to the forum?
Yeah, so probably some recent examples. We're just doing a real big replatforming. So comes it's a bit of judgment. It's some. The flippant term is anything that's a one-way door. So some examples are anything that will have commercial impacts for us. So we need to get price information about equities. So what's the price of REA Group? We can use RS to get this pricing information. We can use LSEG. So those type of larger commercial decisions would warrant a decision doc. We've got some patterns around how we deploy into AWS. So we know we've got a common way of using ECS. If you want to deploy a different way, this would warrant an architecture decision doc because would be material change. We want to, we've got so much to do at Bell, so we really want to constrain a set of options. We want to encourage more execution, but we don't want to forego, coming up with new ways of doing a deployment or those type of things, but we want to be very deliberate in what we're trying to solve, and then documenting it down, and then sharing that knowledge out to others. So I don't know if that, it kind of depends. Anything that we deem material, if it's going to affect more than a team, is something that we would want to drive an architecture decision process, or anything that has a material commercial impact. Those are probably the two main characteristics of when we will do this.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. Anyone else have any other questions? Awesome. All right. Well, thank you. And if anyone has any feedback for Trent afterwards, please let him know, because that'll help him with his talk in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, please, or on Slack, on the Slack group, or any one of the socials here as well.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you guys see it? All right. Good. Can you guys see the screen? Good evening, everyone. My name is Yong Kang Hee. So happy to be here to share what I learned recently. And anyone is using Kubernetes, using EKS. Do you know how long to launch an EKS cluster? So before we get into this, let's create a cluster first. It's completely live, okay? It does need like about 15 minutes, okay? So we got more time for questions for the introduction as well. Let's start to create a cluster. It's live, okay? So we're going to create a cluster in the latest version. Can you guys see it? 1.35. Or maybe it's too small, let's see. Where it is? 1.35, okay? It does take about sometimes 13 minutes, sometimes 15, more or less. So now let's begin the introduction. So I'm going to switch to here. So by the way, I'm going to share you the slides. So everything you can find from here. What I'm doing, I literally don't do anything, just a helping community. So I'm the founder of the Kesuga.ai, Cube Smart and the AI user group. I'm also doing the meetup events every month at the AWS office. So next one is next Wednesday. If you guys are around, yeah, please join us. Most of our talks about cloud native Kubernetes are AI related. So if you haven't joined us, please. And on the screen, yeah, feel free to scan the QR code to follow me on the LinkedIn, or you can connect. One of these you can connect, and the other one you can only follow. Okay, I'll tell you why. Because LinkedIn have the limitation. Once you hit 30,000 connections, you can't connect anymore. That's why I created 2 of these. Yeah, please scan the QR code to follow. I got some nice swags to give away, okay? If you follow our LinkedIn page, I will show you shortly. And let's start here. Why AWS? So why you guys are here? I did some survey some time back. So basically I asked 200,000 of our community. I say, you know, which cloud should we focus in 2026? Yeah, check the data. So can you guys see this? Yeah, about 62% plus choose AWS. That's why I'm here. That's why I love AWS. I'm also proud of being a AWS community builder. If I get renewed, that will be the 5th year. Okay? So same thing like Trent mentioned, if you never hold of this, you should be part of the community. Lots of the, you know, fun, lots of the learning, you can meet lots of the friends, part of the community, okay? So I also want to ask one question. Do you guys know who is running the largest Kubernetes cluster? I know a lot of people already know Kubernetes, yeah. Technically, I'm running the largest Kubernetes cluster in the world. So that's why I say, if you look at the screen here, you can see, talking about a Kubernetes cluster, normally you have the control plane, you have multiple node groups on node pools. We have 7 of the largest node pools. Yeah, if you visit our website, you can find it. Each one of the node groups are pretty big. Okay, that combines all together. We are running the largest cluster. We got 200,000 plus nodes. And we also have a Discord. Please join us. So a little bit of myself. As I say, I don't do anything. I just do learning. I share what I learn. I completed all the Kubernetes certifications. Anyone know the cube structural theme? So if you pass all the Kubernetes certification, you can get a blue jacket like this. I'm proud of being the first one globally. I don't do anything, just create some LinkedIn page to inspire more people to join us. So 1 year a little bit, we got globally around 3,600 people, 46 on Kubernetes. I also love AWS. You guys saw the AWS golden jacket thing. Has anyone seen this? It's in my pocket. I will show you shortly. So once you pass all AWS certifications, you can get the golden jacket. Okay. I don't have anything. I did not make money. I make 2 jackets. One is golden color. The other one is blue color. Okay. I'm actually supporting all different cloud communities as well. Okay. So that comes to this. I always love to showcase, you know, show off my digital badges. I did the all AWS certification 15. I did 15. And now only 12 active. I also did some other certifications from other clouds. So the rise of the the generative AI. I don't know how much you guys are actively using, and probably last year, late last year, I realized that when I submit a talk to, submit to some conference or some community events, you can hardly to get selected. Because I'm focusing on the Kubernetes, people less care, unless it's AI related, okay? So by that time, I asked the AI tools, yeah, it can be Gemini, it can be ChatGPT or OpenAI. I say, I want to build something to share what I learned, to combine with the AI and the Kubernetes capabilities. That comes to this talk. So basically, the AI is providing me some suggestion. Why not you build something like the image generator running on top of the Kubernetes to showcase what you can do using the tool. And I didn't create much of the code either. I asked the AI tool to create the whole code for me. So I can show you some of the code later as well. So now let's check the cluster is ready. Yeah, because we are relying on the cluster to do something. So let's see. Yeah, probably not even 10 minutes yet. So we want to carry on a little bit. So the generative AI, so Amazon also actively investing. Did you guys hear the news recently? Amazon investing like $5 billion to Anthropic. And some other cloud also invest a huge amount of money in the cloud. Everyone wants to rush in to the cloud, to the AI. So the project I created with the suggestion from the AI tool is just give a text input, and then help me create a web UI using the Python application Streamlit. Create a UI, you input what you want to create, and behind the scene, it will talk to the EKS cluster. And from the EKS cluster, we have the stable diffusion model running there. That's how it generates nice, stunning images. So you might have the question, why not just use Gemini, the nano banana thing, or ChatGPT? So for me, it's just purely for the learning stuff, okay? How to piece all these different tech stacks together to showcase what you know. So I encourage everyone to, you just use your imagination, what you want to showcase. And with the AI to help you, I'm actually not a developer at all. I'm an infra guy. So how many of you are developers? So how many of you are, infra? So either your job was taken by someone else or other case. Yeah, I do say the whole environment is converged. So I still remember when I first came to Australia about 20 years ago, I worked for IBM Global Services. We have all different teams, siloed team. Some people was doing the Intel, doing Unix, doing storage, doing backup, doing networking. Now one person does everything, right? Seriously. If a developer, you need to learn the infra thing, right? But with the AI, everyone can be developer. Everyone can be infra guy. So with the idea, that's the project looks like. So, and with the Amazon Kiro thing. So I actually initially created using other cloud. I get the whole GitHub repository, I import it to Amazon Kiro site, just help me convert, make it available for EKS. That's it. So behind the scene, Amazon Kiro does all the magics for me. I didn't even touch to figure out what's wrong. If there is any issues, Amazon Kiro helped me to fix the issues, to make it working for. I was initially built on Google Cloud based on the GKE, and then Amazon Kiro helped me to re-platform to EK. Okay, let's see. Come on, the 10 minutes is so long. Any questions you guys have? Again, I encourage everybody, like Jason mentioned earlier, you can learn something, you share what you learned with a large community. So that's where the AWS Community Builder program is so popular.
Right now you're using EKS.
Yeah, hold on.
So here you're using EKS CTL to provision your node group, and it looks like it's getting
Yeah.
pretty close.
That's
What are you using for your node groups? Are you using like Fargate for EKS, or are you using like GPU EC2 instances?
So in this case, actually, if you want to look at the code here, by the way, yeah, the AI on EKS cluster, that's the command here. That's the script here. Let me move this around. So all the code also generated, by the way. So the EKS CTO, I do have the two options. You can either create the CPU cluster or GPU cluster. So you do have the two options. So in this case, I'm creating the GPU cluster, yeah, because the inferencing is a lot faster. So compared to the CPU, so if I'm creating image from based on the GPU, it only takes like a 20 seconds. But if running on CPU, it can be like a 20 minutes or even longer. So I'm not using Fargate, by the way. So it's based on the node groups. It will create on the CPU, either CPU or GPU. So the interesting, this is a command actually to create the cluster. So you specify the region devotion. I did try to use the spot instance, but somehow, so I forgot to mention, when I try to run the GPU cluster, you need to increase the service quota first. So by default, you don't have the service quota for running the GPU. So you need to increase to at least 4. Yeah, I did make an increase to 4 on the on-demand instance. But I requested for the spot instance, they haven't approved yet. I tried to increase to 8, they did not approve either. By the way, also I'm running in Sydney region. So Melbourne region actually was slightly behind. So we don't have the GPU to run the many, the GPU clusters. So I was initially trying to run the AP Southeast 4, but looks like there were some challenges. So I switched to use the Sydney region, AP Southeast 2, okay? Yeah, that was a very good question. Any other questions? Yeah, it's a pretty simple code here. So this is how to create the cluster. You can check the quota, you can check the if the cluster is running. The Python code is here actually to create to load the images and then running inside of the Kubernetes cluster. But you need to convert the Docker file to the image. That's where you have the Docker build, Docker push to the Amazon Elastic Container Registry. And then we are running load to the Kubernetes cluster. We actually pull the container image from an ECR and then run it on the cluster. Yeah, let's see if everything is running good. Yeah, hopefully it just works. If it doesn't work, it's live. Everyone, you can expect. Yeah. All right. Looks like it's almost done. Yeah. How long it take? Can you guys see it? It took 13 minutes, 33 seconds. Yeah, it's pretty good. And the cluster created, almost everything is ready. Now let me quickly to show you. Yeah. So I already created the cluster. The next command here is you need to build and push the Docker image. But part of the automation, I actually also have the GitHub action created. So it will be automatically to, once you update the code, it will automatically to create the image, push the ECR, Elastic Container Registry. So it's already been there. So what's going to happen next is I'm going to deploy. Basically, it's a kubectl to apply the YAML file to bring up the containers. Okay, I'm going to run this command here. But before this, yeah, let's see how many nodes here. Yeah, it's for the demo purpose. I don't need multiple nodes. I just have one node. It was created 3 minutes ago. It's running Windows 35. Can you guys see it? Yeah, let me. Is that right? It's a little bit small. Do you guys know this trick? So on Mac, you can do like this. Okay. Yeah, find me. I tell you the trick. Yeah. Okay, it's running. And now we're going to run this command. So basically run this command, we will deploy the Python application to the containers. And it deployed successfully. If you get kubectl or get a pod, you can wait for the container. The first step is a container creating. Basically, we're going to create the containers. So behind of the scene, it will pull the image from the container registry and then running inside of the cluster. Okay. So this image actually relatively big. Yeah, it is about 4 gigabytes. So it took it takes about 2 minutes to become running from a container creating to pain to become a running status. Any questions so far? Yeah, while we're waiting here, I might just quickly to show you if you optionally you can deploy to CPU. As I say, so for CPU cluster it takes us too long time. Or once it took like 1.5 hours to just create one image. But for the GPU cluster, only like 20 seconds. Okay, once it's running, basically you can get the URL, the load balancer by using the cloud AWS load balancer, and then you can access via the web UI. You just input the prompt, generate the image. Okay, by the way, while we're waiting, let me show you where is the file. So if you visit ksug.ai, I'm doing a little bit of promotion of our community while we're waiting. Yeah. Hold on. So that's a community I'm doing. I basically, so this is what I'm doing. Yeah, our mission is to empower the community to learn faster, get certified smart, grow stronger. Okay, one of the link here, so you can find a lot of our social links here. One of the link, number 9, that's our GitHub repository. And from here, you can find the repository. Okay. Where is the one? So AI on EKS images generate, and you can find all the code here. I did a little bit update today and yesterday, so you can find all the details, the features, the prerequisites. So if you're running on your laptop, you need to have the AWS configure. You need to configure the connection. You need to have the EKS CTL installed and the kubectl installed, etc. Now, how to increase the quota? So you can verify the quota. If you don't have enough, you basically want to be able to create it. So this is a command how to increase the quota for on-demand or spot instance. You can try by yourself. And then how to create the cluster. We already tried that one. How to, if you want to manually build the image, that's the command build. And then we already deployed to the EKS. So now the next step is we copy this command and we're going to get the URL. Yeah, it's running here just under 2 minutes. So we're going to run this command, we will get the URL. Now we're going to open the URL. Yeah, here is another thing, also takes a little bit of time. So the reason is so you can see, make the slide bigger. So you can clearly say it's running the GPU Tesla T4, and they can find more details about the information like a PyTorch version, the device name, how much memory is, etc. Yeah. In the loading the model, that's where we are loading the stable diffusion model. That model also takes a little bit while, a couple minutes, because it's 8 gigabytes. And plus the code style, etc. Yeah. And the device initialization, so that's why it takes a little bit while for the first time. Any questions? Yeah, this it does take a couple minutes. Yeah, before you can see the stunning image. Okay, and if you want to see, I do have an image created here. Yeah, I share the slides so you can have a read later. The image. No, not this. So can you guys guess which one was created by this application, Stable Diffusion? So I got 3 images just for the comparison. The one is created by Gemini. The other one is created by OpenAI. The one was created by the application which I'm building. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
I think my guess is Gemini on the left, and then OpenAI at the bottom, and then Stable Diffusion on the right.
Actually, that wasn't correct. So the Gemini logo is here. You should be able to see, where. Yeah, Gemini, yeah, it's slightly, yeah, there is an icon here, that's Gemini. Okay, and this one on the right-hand side, that's OpenAI. Basically, I put the same prompt, okay? Exactly the same prompt, yeah. And the left one, the left side, that's the one, we're using this application to generate it. I don't know which one you guys like. I kind of like the one was generated using the application. So OpenAI generated, it's not that eye-catching.
I don't know. I think it's somewhat cute. I actually quite like it.
Okay.
But yes, the Stable Diffusion one I think
Yeah.
looks awesome.
Yeah, I like it as well. Yeah, let's see if coming yet. Oh, come on.
Well, I might just take this time as well just to put in another little, not so much plug, but another little call for speakers. So we have 2 different types of talks that you can do. So Young's doing a full talk, sort of 20-ish minutes, or we have the lightning talks, which are around about sort of 10 to 15. So you don't necessarily need to do a full talk if you're interested. If you've just got something that you want to do a shorter talk on, we're happy to take lightning talks as well, and any sort of level as well. So from a level 100 sort of introductory, but also too, even things like if you've sort of found something new or there's new service come out, you don't necessarily need to have deep knowledge on it. It's just like, hey, I found this thing, it's pretty cool, you guys might like it as well. I've only just started, but hey, here's what I've done, go check it out. Those sorts of talks are also quite good as well. So any types of talks from your quick lightning talks, a full talk, level 100, level 400. If you've got something that you really want to go deep, we're looking for everything. And without people willing to talk, we don't put these on.
Awesome. Yeah, it looks like the model already loaded. I already generated the image, and the prompt is here. I just simply ask keeps riding a dragon in space. And are you guys ready to see it? Let's see. That's the image that was generated. And you can also fine tune a little bit. You can choose the size or the pixel of the image. You can also adjust a little bit of other settings. If you look at this picture, that's the prompt here. That's the image generated. And just under 21 seconds. What do you guys think? So if I'm putting together to summarize, this is, it's not just one part, one small piece. That's lots of stuff to put together here. If I'm going back to the GitHub repository, you can see how they're working together. There are lots of information, lots of the tech stacks we're using here. So when we're building the AI image generator, first of all, you have the Streamlit web UI, allow you to take input and then generates the image. And we got a Hugging Face hub here to fit the stable diffusion model and then load into the container. Right? And the accelerator basically to load these files onto the GPU efficiently. And plus the diffuser is basically to process the prompt and generate the image. And the last one, also using the Streamlit to display the image. The tech stacks you can see here, that's really a lot of stuff. If you ask me to explain each one of these, that's also tough. But with the AI to help, now every one of us, you can be like a wear multiple hats. Yeah, so you just use your imagination. You ask the AI to assist you to do something. Next time you can be here to do the sharing. Yeah, I hope it is useful to you all. Yeah, happy to take any questions.
Thanks so much, Yongking. And speaking of hats, you can see he's wearing his community builder hat as well. All right.
How much would this cost to run like this demo now?
Yeah, actually, if I go back to the, so you can see normally I'm costing, I don't use much of the AWS, use my own pocket money, right? I just use Amazon Q every month, $19. So I use to optimize my website. You guys know Amazon Q. So that's basically before Amazon Hero release, they have some other tools called Amazon Q. Let me show you here. So there is a plugin to the VS Code. And from here, you can find the Amazon Q. So the Amazon Q, that's what I'm actually using. I normally use it to just optimize my web page, my landing page. It does cost $19 every month. And but guess what? If you are AWS community builder, you do get like $500 every year. So that credits can be used. So I pay nothing. So
I do the same thing. The not everything that you get, or not all the AWS services can you use with credits, but Amazon Q with the defaults, you can use your credits for, or that will use credits. So yeah, I've got the same, although I plug mine into the Kiro CLI to do that,
that's good.
which used to be called QCLI.
Yeah, back to your question, it doesn't cost me a lot. I actually literally, I don't use anything, but this one, I tried a few times. By the way, I'm running on demand instance. That's why it's expensive. If I'm comparing to other cloud, it only costs me less than $1 because I can use the spot instance. For Amazon, when I requested, they did not approve my request. So I can't use the spot instance. If you're using spot instance, that will cost significantly less. So in total, right now, it's only like a 35. So why we need this generated image? So one thing is you might find that it's useful to you. Maybe you can generate a better image. You don't rely on someone else. All these stuff running can be in your cloud. Okay, and you can also run it on premises. Yeah, because it's open source model. You just build your Kubernetes cluster. You run it.
Just curious, do you know anyone in your community who might be running this kind of in production? I'm just curious because I kind of know some kind of small, medium-sized businesses who are trying to kind of use AI image generators to kind of, because in the old days, for example, you would have to hire like a photographer, set up your product somewhere. If you're going to sell it online, you have to take a photo of it and then edit it, Photoshop it. But now they're trying to explore like AI in a more like reliable way. Just curious, like that's definitely seems like a useful solution for them. I'm just curious
That's
if you have
good
any.
to know. Yeah, for now, all these I make it publicly available from a GitHub. Everyone can try it. So I don't know if anyone actually uses it. Maybe use more. I haven't figured out the use case yet. But comparing to Gemini or OpenAI, they actually now generate. It depends on the. Sometimes they generate a pretty nice image.
Any other questions? Yep.
Just with the sport instances, do you know like how to get them? Like how you had trouble.
So in general, the GPU is is very limited. So that's where the challenge is. So that's why they did not approve my request for the on-demand. It does need to give end user some try. But when I try to request from 4 to 8, it doesn't approve. Also makes sense because they will look into how much you are using. Right? I'm not using a lot. I'm just do the test. So they did not approve me to increase from 4 to 8 either. So I guess the market needs for the GPU is huge. So they're very scared, limited resources. So they don't want to give everybody the, like a spot instance or on-demand instance of the request.
Yep. I was just going to say with that as well, one of the things you can do if you don't have any real limitations is you can look at other regions as well. So, Australia has a pretty small population, and these things, although for us we see them, they're in the cloud, we don't touch the hardware. There is hardware behind it. They need to bring that hardware into Australia. Do we have the biggest market? Not really. But maybe if you try to run this in, USX1, USX2, some of the larger markets, there may be more opportunity to, expand those things if you're doing this for testing.
And this might be more of a comment than a question, showing my age, but within the AWS console, there's also, within the EC2 part of the console, there's a spot instance item on the left somewhere in the EC2 console, and this will show you the spot bitrate based on region and availability zone. And so you probably see that the run price, the on-demand price is this, and there's no spot capacity. There's also somewhere you could probably Google spot instance. There's a public page that AWS publishes around like the likelihood of getting a spot instance as well. So there's some other resources to access around the spot usage based on instance type as well.
That's a very good point. So we are about at the time, just quickly to show you. Technically, you can auto scale, because I only have a limited CPU. I can't really scale. If you run kubectl, you scale the deployment. Basically, you can scale to multiple pods running on the same cluster. Okay, and what else? Yeah, from a cost point of view, it's better. You are running on spot instance, of course, and you have a multiple. If you can have a multiple node, but let me put it this way. If you're just using this to run the image generator properly, very much costly, right? Comparing to use the other software like a Gemini, Banana, or OpenAI. But from the learning perspective, it's awesome. You put all these stuff together to demonstrate what you can do using the AI. Especially if you are looking for a new job, you need to showcase what you can do. At least you can showcase. I got a GitHub repository. This is what I did. How to piece all these information together. Okay, so the repository also in the slides, I can share you the link as well. And next Wednesday, if you are available, join us. Yeah, we do have some awesome speakers lined up, and also great topics. The first one is about Gen AI, the EKS hybrid nodes. Have you guys heard of the NVIDIA DGX? So basically how to run the EKS across the hybrid environment. And the second topic also very much relevant. So from Olga talking about she's talking about AI can do the Kubernetes solution. Okay, seriously. So I heard some of my friends, they actually delegate the whole task to AI to manage the Kubernetes cluster. And the last topic is about the 0 to episode 1 of my cloud code. Yeah, please join us. If you visit the website, you can find all the information, or you just search for more meetup.com. So feel free to follow us, to join us, supporting our community. You can join us as a volunteer, as a speaker, or sponsor as well. So that's pretty much all from my side. Thank you to the organizing team for having me here.
Thank you so much. Great. Give Young a round of applause. Cool. And as you probably saw, like, there is a vibrant community of, AWS and tech user groups here in Melbourne. So yeah, keep a lookout. See what there is. There's something for almost every night of the week if you want to do that. All right, I'll just grab my laptop. All right, and before we wrap up, do our marketplace section. Is anyone hiring? All right, that's the usual response that we get. So we will like to wrap up by again thanking our sponsors, Mentor Group, Civo, and NAB. Without these, we can't have a place to host. We can't provide the food. And so very much thank you to all of our sponsors. And if you liked what you saw and you are free this time next month, last Wednesday of every month, you can come and join us again on the 27th of May. So we would love to see you. Before you go, if you can just ensure that you're all cleaned up, any rubbish, either you take it outside or pop it in the bags at the back. And also, Hazra would like to take a group photo. So if you are happy to do that, if you'd like to come up the front, and we will get our regular group photo. Thank you, everyone, for coming out.